Hi again folks, how's all doing? So a chap called Bob over in the Netherlands of all places got in touch with me and asked if I would like to have this Triang British Railways Flying Scotsman. Now of course having just got myself a shiny new one, I politely declined, but Bob offered to send it on anyway and said I could put it up for sale if I can get it working again. He said it's got a loose traction magnet, but at the moment it seems to be a total non-runner. Just turn on the power. Absolutely nothing happens, but the ammeter's going off the scale. So we'll shove it into the shed and see if we can sort it out. Righto then, another old Triang Flying Scotsman, this time in its BR livery, late BR livery. So I haven't worked on this particular model before. It'll be the same under the hood though. I have to say this is in very good condition, considering its age. It really is pretty damn good. Yeah, I don't think you can get much better. Might need a wee bit of a wash, but the nameplates are in good condition. All the lining's fine, the numbering's fine, buffers aren't broken. Everything looks to be pretty tip top. Same on the tender. Yeah, I'll give it all a wee bit of a dust or a clean up, clean the wheels, and it'll look pretty good, I think. So yeah, it's got the old Triang wheels, so it's not going to play nice with modern track. But we'll see what's wrong with this and get it running again. Bob did say it's got a loose traction magnet. So let's get the body off and see what's what. The screw was very loose. Might as well take the rear bogie off as well. Does that now lift out? Yes, it does. Oh, it's got a flickering firebox. Right, we need to see if we can get that working again. I haven't worked on one of those before. Let's get the motor out and we'll see. That's it. Remove that. Pull that out. Yeah, that feels a bit stiff. So this is a 5-pole motor. It looks a bit like the old Airfix ones. Be nice to get this going again if we can. Don't know how well you can see, but there's a bit of oil and gunk in the brushes and commutator there. Let's see what happens if I stick a battery on this. It spins, so the motor's okay. Let's have a look at this and see what's going on. So you might just be able to see the traction magnet just poking out in there. It's hitting against the wheel. So we'll need to do a complete strip down. What fun. Let's get this front bogie off. I don't think I've come across a loose traction magnet before. If I was just going to keep this model for myself, I would just take it out, but I'll be selling this model on if I can get it sorted, so we shall leave it as it was, keep it intact. Can I get this out? Come on, out you come. There we go. Let's undo that. Comes out, lift that off, lift that off, lift the spacer off, the rod comes off. Same to the other side. That wheel spins okay, and that spins okay. So yeah, it's just the traction magnet causing the problem. But to sort that, we'll need to remove this wheel. Is it going to play nice? Yep. Off it comes. Need to get that plastic bush off. They always break. That then comes out, and there's the traction magnet. Not sure why it's become loose. I think what we might have to do is get some metal epoxy and fix it in place. So looking at this flickering firebox, you've got a wheat grain bulb in there. This connects to the chassis, so that would connect to one of the wires onto the bulb, and then this wire would connect to the other wire. So what I think I'm going to do is fit one of these bulbs, and that can go right down in front of the firebox there, and wire that up, and that should work, I think. Yeah, we shall see. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put all my bits and bobs in the sonic cleaner. We'll clean the motor up, and I'll order up some metal epoxy. Let's just pop the brushes out of this, see what state they're in. Yeah, there's a lot of grime on there. I think these brushes might be hard to get. I'll need to have a look, because I would quite like to replace them. I'll give it a good scoosh first of all. Wow. I think we'll let all that contact cleaner evaporate off before we do any more work on the motor. Meantime, we'll get all the rods and sods into the sonic cleaner, and that'll be me for today. So we shall come back to this once I get my metal epoxy. Okay, so a couple of days later, all my rods and sods have been in the sonic cleaner, and I've got myself some metal epoxy. Now, I've had time to think about this locomotive a bit, and it looks to me as if it's been subject to some jiggery faffery. I suspect a previous owner swapped out the XO4 motor for the Airfix 5-pole here, and I also think they knocked out the traction magnet to try and improve running, and then tried to refit it, and things went downhill from there. Now, the brushes on this motor are very worn and really need replaced, but replacements are like hen's teeth. I've been doing a bit of reading up on this motor, and although it runs smoother than the XO4 because it's 5-pole, apparently it's got a bit less torque and it's a bit noisy. So I kind of have three choices. I go to the trouble of refurbishing these brushes, and I refit this motor, or I refit an XO4 motor, or I fit a Peter Spares replacement motor. I've decided to go for the latter option, because fitting new carbon brush heads to these would be a real fiddle, and I doubt this motor would really be worth the effort, especially if it runs a bit fast and noisy. Also, I had this XO4 replacement motor in my old Flying Scotsman, which I've kind of retired, but yeah, I've decided to fit that. And out of interest, I think I'll fit this into the old Flying Scotsman, and just to see how that performs with the brushes as they are. So as you can see, I've already fitted the replacement motor, same process you may have seen in my previous video, without the shorting suppressor issue. So that should sort any motor related issues with this model. What I need to do is glue the traction magnet back in, and sort the glowing firebox out, and then put it all back together. So I'm just mixing up some metal epoxy. Just going to put it on one side. That should do it. And just squeeze this in. Make sure it's absolutely set flush. Right, I'm going to let that set, and hopefully it stays put, so we can start to get this back together, and we'll see about the glowing firebox. But right, okay, wheels. Pop this one on this side first. Fit that in there. a new plastic bush. It should fit in there. Should be a tight fit. Might have to give it a wee tap on. Seem to have mislaid my little tack hammer. Doesn't use this one. Does the job. That should fit on. About there. How's that looking? Currently set to 13.5. That's quite close. 13.9. I think we'll leave it at that for now. Just going to take the motor out just now so I can test run this for any issues. Wee hiccup there. So I think my quartering is just a tiny little bit out, and that's what's causing it to bind at just one little spot. So I'm going to have to lift this wheel off again, and we'll give it another go. There we go. It's left the bush on the axle, but that's fine. Right, okay. So line these wheels up. I know there's jigs and everything for doing this, but this works. Tape those wheels. Like so. And then pop that back on. Appears to be just off 12 o'clock. Here is time at 12 o'clock. Yeah, that'll do. Right, we'll try that. I'm going to have to take this thing off again so I can squeeze the wheels together in the vise. Right. That's better. There we go, that's what we want. This had exactly the same problem where I had to bend the mount to get it to fit correctly. Right, okay. What we're doing, we need to get the pickup into place, and oh, I should have done that before fitting the motor. Right, okay. I think what we'll do is just snip that off there like that, and we'll strip that. Hopefully that wire solder's alright, but as I said in a comment in my last video, I'm increasingly of the opinion that you should just replace all the wires, because older wires, you know, the wires get tarnished and they don't take solder very well. Right, okay, let's feed that up through there just now. What I haven't done is cut a little groove in the chassis for the wire underneath the motor, so I'll need to do that. Let's just get this into position. I've always really enjoyed putting a locomotive back together. You know, when I was a little boy, I used to love making Airfix kits and things, or played with Meccano, or anything where you assembled things. And with my locomotives when I was young, I had a tendency to take them apart just so I could put them back together, because I thought that was fun. So I started young. Right, okay. So yeah, same problem as we had. Or can I get that? Oh, actually, I might get away with this. I'll get the endoscope in here. So same problem when I was fitting one of these motors into that Spitfire in my last video, is routing this wire. Now there is actually a little gap here. I think that wire might just tuck in like that. So that'll be fine, so I don't have to grind a slot into the chassis. Right, clip a bit of that off, and we'll strip it. So we shall wrap it round there. Right, I don't really want to have 3 wires soldered to there, so I think we'll have to have a join. So I think what we'll do is we'll solder another wire onto there to go to the motor terminal, and then this wire will go to the firebox. That'll do it. Looks okay. So the motor's wired up. Technically speaking, this should now run. There we go. Just get some nice oily grease on the worm gear. Yeah, seems okay. I had a wee quick look online to see how this was wired up originally, and I also found that you can get LED replacements for it. So I think that's what I'm going to do. For what they cost, I'm going to order up an LED bulb. It'll be much brighter and I think a bit more effective. So I shall order that up, and we'll come back to this when we get it, which will probably be 2-3 days. Right then, a few days later, I received the LED replacements for the glowing firebox. I got these off eBay, and I bought 2 of them just in case one blew or something. So I've fitted one, as you can see. These have what appears to be a one-way resistor on them, on the live wire. So I don't think these are really, they're not intended as a replacement for a glowing firebox. I think they're just a rear light for a diesel engine. Caught me out though, because initially I wired it with the red positive and the black to negative, and it didn't work. So I swapped the wires around to reverse the polarity, and it works fine, but it only works when the locomotive's going forwards. That's okay though. But yeah, it's really meant as a rear light for a diesel, but it does appear to be a lot brighter, so that's good. Right, we shall get the body on, and then that'll be us done with this, I think. So slide that into there. Screw that down. Don't over tighten that. And there we go. Okay, there we go. This doesn't have the the really old triangle wheels with the enormous flanges, so it will run on modern track, but it might not like going through some points and crossings very much. But let's go and pull out the shed, and we'll see how it runs. Okay, let's bring out the Flying Scotsman. Well, there we go, that's this old trying flying Scotsman back in action. So yeah, this had clearly been subject to some jiggery faffery. Loose traction magnet, motor replaced, glowing firebox disconnected. So I glued the traction magnet back in with some metal epoxy, swapped the motor with the Peter Spares replacement that I had in my Triang Scotsman, and fitted an LED in the firebox. It actually runs not too bad at all on my track. I felt the frogs down in my points, which helps, but you know, it does seem to be behaving itself most of the time. I think I could do with a good run in to bed the worm gear in with the drive gear. Its slow speed is a wee bit lumpy going forwards. I think a new drive gear would be a good idea when fitting these replacement motors. The Airfix motor is now in my Triang Flying Scotsman and runs not too bad. It's certainly a lot smoother than the old XO4, but it's just as noisy really. The brushes are really worn, so this won't get run very often. So I have to say, I've kind of got a bit attached to this model Bob sent me. It's in good condition, it runs not too bad, but I think it could be a little bit better after running in, as I said. So I think what I'm going to do is, I'm going to hang on to this for a bit, and then maybe put it up for sale at some point later on. I may well replace the drive gear, which will improve running, I think. So yeah, there may be a follow-up video to this soon. But once I'm totally happy with it, I will put it up for sale. So stay tuned if you fancy buying this old Flying Scotsman. Okay, thanks very much to Bob for very kindly sending me this, and I'll catch you later, folks.